More than 20 people have been killed in a series of IED blasts in southern Afghanistan in the past 2 days. The most recent of which targeted the NATO base on the outskirts of Kandahar. Our reporter James Banks joins us now from Camp Bastion. James, what can you tell us about these attacks?
Well, earlier today, at least 7 civilians, 2 of which were children, were killed when a suicide bomber approached the gate at Kandahar Air Field, one of the largest coalition bases in the country. Now, this follows on from a particularly bloody 24 hours. Yesterday morning in Nad Ali, a roadside bomb was placed outside the house of the district chief of Afghan intelligence, Mr. Wali Mohammed. He was killed alongside 3 other local nationals. Then in Kajaki, a suicide bomber on a motorcycle exploded in a packed bazaar, killing 13 and injuring a further 22. Now, one of those 13 was a member of ISAF. Now, whilst we have no confirmed details as to his identity, I can confirm that he wasn't a member of the British task force.
And James, I understand many of those injured in the blast were treated in Camp Bastion.
Yes, that's right. Those injured in the Kajaki blast were flown here to Camp Bastion to the Royal 3 Hospital. Now, earlier today, the Governor of Helmand Province, Gulab Mangal, came here to visit those injured and to thank the medics that had treated them, as my colleague Charlotte Cross reports.
Gulab Mangal was greeted by the staff when he arrived at Camp Bastion's hospital. As governor, he wanted to see for himself those Afghans who were injured in the previous day's bomb blasts, to offer them his sympathy and support.
It was a tragic event which occurred last night, and most of the dead and injured are civilians. So I wanted to come here and talk to the injured and pass on my condolences to the families of those who died.
The governor spent time at the bedsides of several patients, although most were barely awake, having recently been through emergency surgery. He also wanted to meet the hospital staff who treated them.
I really appreciate the work done by all the doctors, emergency staff and nurses. They spend their whole time treating these patients and curing them, so I'd like to thank them from the bottom of my heart.
The hospital is geared up for receiving mass casualties, but yesterday afternoon, the injured arrived in waves of 8 at a time. The staff had to rapidly open up another ward to deal with the sheer number of casualties.
It's the largest numbers of casualties that we've received at any one time. I mean, there have been days where we've received a similar number, but it's been spread over the day and we've been able to absorb them without having to make any additional plans. But we haven't received that many casualties in one go in the whole of Herrick 15 so far.
Governor Mangal left envelopes containing money with the injured. It's part of Afghan culture that as their governor, he should look after them, helping to buy clothes or whatever they need when they return home. For the bombers who caused such carnage, he had these words.
The people who carried out this terrible act are the cruelest people because most of the people who were killed and injured were innocent. So this act is against human rights. It's against the humanity of the world.
It's not just the security forces who are targeted. The youngest victim is just a baby, and at least one child is known to have died. These attacks are indiscriminate, and sadly, this won't be the last. Charlotte Cross, Forces News, Camp Bastion.